What's going on, people? Welcome back to another JSTV. Back again. We're going to go into the player ratings, and I've got Paul with me. Hi, Paul, again. How are we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. How's it going? All right.
I'm good. Not too bad. Not too bad. For those who's missed the review as well, can you just give the viewers a little bit of breakdown, please, on the Newcastle's 1-0 defeat against Man City?
Yeah, so if you didn't catch that, so we had an unchanged 11 that went in from the Aston Villa starting 11. Obviously, at the Ethiad, where our record's pretty dire, ended up in a 1-0 tight defeat by an unbelievable Alcaraz goal. We were kind of, like we were saying in the review, we were kind of like negative for the first 25 minutes. We had a period of time where we played quite well. Second half, we were a bit better. Had some frustrating chances where we could have done better at times. The 3-on-1 in particular, which will haunt a lot of us for a long time, which could have potentially led to a 1-1, which would have been a very good result. But at the end of the day, Man City are a really top team, and Phil Foden was quite rightfully man of the match for them. But for us, I felt Botman, which we'll come into for the ratings, Botman was in particular our man of the match. For definite.
Absolutely. You're going to come on to Sven as well. It's going to be good ones as well. We go for the player ratings. Give the players 1 out of 10, including the fans, the manager, and the referee as well. If you don't like our ratings, cry some more. We'll be back again next week, I'm pretty sure. And, it's all about opinions at the end of the day. And this is recorded live. So let's go on, start with Nick Pope. I mean, he didn't really have much things to do, right? But he could have done a little bit better with that Alvarez's shot. But he's denied Holland with his feet. But other than that, he didn't do much to do, really. I mean, marks out 10 to give Nick Pope. And why?
Yeah, again, going back to the review, we were saying that Nick Pope didn't really have, I don't remember making a last gasp save or anything like that. He had a pretty quiet game, as we said, really. But if he pulls off that save, it's one of the saves of the season. If he does pull it off, he does get fingertips to it. Did well with the Haaland attempt. So you can't give him too high, I guess, because he didn't do much. So, but it'd be harsh to give him lower than. I think a fair one would probably be like a 7 out of 10 because, he didn't have much to do when he was called upon. He did fine, and with the goal, like I said, fingertips. It was unlucky. If he saves that, it'd be one of the saves of the weekend. It would have been an outstanding save because it was a hell of a strike.
Great stuff. Fair enough. Let's go on to the fullbacks. Start with our captain, Kieran Trippier. He marshaled the defence well, and he kept Grealish really, really quiet, to be fair. I mean, Grealish did try to cheat once or twice, but Kieran don't have none of that at all whatsoever. But between him and Miggy, right, the connection between the two ain't great, I'm not going to lie, but he led by example.
Yeah, exactly. He was, as we were saying, he got quite upset. A few passes that could have come. I think he was running ahead of Bruno at one time where if Bruno sets him out, they were probably, again, in a dangerous position. But Trippier's always that. I love Trippier that he just he really does give everything in a game. He tries to keep everyone on sort of onto what they're doing, keeping defensively minded. And the shape was very good, and I thought that was positive. Again, it's a tough one for Trips. Out of 10, again, you can't go too high, but I think it'd be fair to give him a 6 or a 7. I think that's a fair, probably a 7 to be fair. Trips, I think he did fine. There's nothing that I can fault him for.
Okay, 7 out of 10 for Kieran. Let's go on to the other side. Dan Burn, again, limited going forward. However, he made some couple of big tackles to stop some dangerous City attacks as well. I thought he handled Foden okay, but other than that, it's very limited, but did what I had to do.
Yeah, it's just that, it's the thing we've been saying as a fan base for a long time, that pace is what, you could tell all of our attacks mainly were going down that side because Pep said, he must have told the team that that's where we're going to struggle with pace, with Dan Burn's, lack of pace with his size. So they were attacking that side in particular, is where the goal came from as well. So it's one of those where they have attacked that on purpose. I mean, Dan Burn, he didn't do anything wrong in the game. He's one of those things where we all know that if we have someone in that position who had a bit more quality, that's what we need. I think again a fair 6 out of 10 for Dan. I don't think he had his best game, but he didn't have a terrible game either.
Yeah, marks out of 10.
I'd say 6 out of 10.
Yeah, it's your player ratings, not mine. It's your player ratings today. So I leave that one up to you. You're in charge of player ratings. Let's go on to centre backs as well. And we have got Fabian Schär. I mean, didn't look good when he landed on his collarbone. I thought he was going to go off. But this guy is absolutely outstanding at the centre of the defence. I mean, that tackle on Holland in the second half was absolutely outstanding. He read the game well. And not only that, Holland got very little joy from the Swiss international. This guy was absolutely fantastic. He is our warrior at the back.
Yeah, I think, excuse me. I think Schär and Botman, will come to Botman in a sec, obviously. They really did have good games. I mean, that tackle, it's almost a certain goal, isn't it? If he doesn't get that tackle in, it's a certain goal. Absolutely phenomenal. We could see how upset Haaland was at it. When he got
that tackle in. He was frustrated.
Yeah, and again, we're saying that Schär's come on so much as a Newcastle player, especially under Eddie. Schär for me was again like a very good performance from him. And again, it'd be harsh not to give him anything less than an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, then, yeah. 8 out of 10. Fantastic. Let's go as the partner in crime. This guy should be in the Dutch nationals team for the next 10 years. This guy reads the game like a book. And I tell you what, Boston Holland off the ball on multiple occasions when he do that against a world-class player. You know what? You're going to get some recognition as well. Sven Botman, outstanding performance, fantastic from the back, popped in midfield, set a lot of attacks, 50 passes, and this guy called his head held high. This guy, man of the match for me, should take.
Yeah, no doubt. He like I said, him and Schär have got this brilliant, unspoken sometimes sort of knowledge of each other's game. It's really come on. And I tell you what, Botman was above and beyond yesterday. Haaland, again, like the stat is, Haaland's had 2 90-minutes at City, his worst stats at City, and both have been against Botman. That's impressive for him that he's kept one of the best strikers in the entire world that quiet. And he just does that. I know in the past he's had some bits in here and there, but he had an outstanding game. And again, man of the match, no doubt about it. People might get annoyed at the how high I'm going, but I'd say 9 out of 10, no doubt about it. He was man of the match, and he really put in his best for us.
I mean, that guy, absolutely brilliant. When he defends properly. He's cool under pressure. He doesn't get flustered. And you know what it is, Sven Botman. This guy could be a Toon legend and a future Newcastle captain for years and years and years to come. So I'll go with you, 9 out of 10 as well. Let's go into the midfield 3. Sandro Tonali. He showed flashes in the game, started well, but he didn't quite stamp his authority like he did last week. But he got booked as well, and he got hooked in the second half, and Eddie's seen enough of him. Yeah,
Tonali kind of, like you're saying, Johnny, he tried to get into the game, but he just never got into the game, did he? He never really kind of, he didn't have the same impact he did against Villa. I mean, Villa have lesser players than Man City, so that's not a hard thing to do. He just couldn't really seem to. I mean, again, Tonali wasn't the only person guilty of this. We just couldn't seem to keep the ball under our control for a long period of time. We had that 5-minute period in the first half and a bit more in the second half here and there. We were a bit more on it, but there wasn't any period of time where we were like completely in charge of that midfield battle. And Tonali kind of, again, it's a hard team, isn't it, to be outstanding against because City is so good. But Tonali's going to learn over time. He will, he will get better. But again, it's hard to give him more than a 6. I think a fair a fair rating, it would be 6 out of 10 for Tonali. I don't think he had a terrible, awful game, but I don't think he had, anything like last week.
Yeah, 6 out of 10 for Sancho Tonali. We're going to talk about Bruno as well. I mean, for me, he had no time on the ball. He started okay, but he was lucky to start on the pitch and did a nice tackle forward in as well. He had 70-yard touches. For me, this is not a brilliant Bruno performance. When he had that chance near the end, when he scuffed that shot, I mean, it just summed up this whole story today. And I'm not going to criticize the guy, but I have to be honest and constructive. He was poor today. Yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree, John. Yeah, 100%. I think, he was decent against Villa. Not outstanding or anything, but I think he had a decent game. I still think he's getting up to speed with where he was at the end of last season when he was at the top of his game. Still think he's getting, he had a bit of he had about 4 weddings, and I think he's still kind of, coming back from peak fitness over all of that. But as again, going back to review, Man City quite clearly targeted Bruno to keep him quiet in the game because they know that he dictates our play, and I think he struggled in particular yesterday again against a good team. Things weren't really coming off, and again that shot was I hesitate to call it a shot. It was it was pretty poor. Bruno. Yeah, he will have better games than Newcastle again. For me, 5 out of 10. That's harsh, I know, sorry, but he was not. Yeah, he didn't have any influence on the game for me. So I think a 5 is fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like, if that was me, it'd probably be a 4. But at the end of the day, I love him. I love Bruno. But at the end of the day, we have got to be honest as well. And like I said before, if you don't give him ratings, cry some more. We'll be back again next week. Let's go on to the big Brazilian Jordan and Ari as well off the pace yesterday. I can't lie. I mean, he got away with it when they could have scored. Second time, Dilly is way off it yesterday. I'm not going to lie. About 15, 16 passes the whole of the game. Yes, he's carrying a little injury there, but he was forced off in the second half just as well, really, because he just wasn't in it at all.
Yeah, and he gave the ball away more than anyone else.
That's criminal.
As well. He kept giving the ball away so often. Like, he'd be in possession, he was doing little passes that would normally come off, and he just was, it was that, a couple of more centimeters away from being like a good pass, but you can't get away with it when you're against Man City. They'll get that ball if you're not pin perfect. They'll get that ball off you. And I think, Joe didn't have his best game, like you said. He picked up the injury, and we'll see how bad that is. Whether it keeps him out on Sunday against Liverpool or what. He didn't have his best game, did he?
No.
Again, didn't have the influence that he normally has. It's hard to. I mean, again, I think. Sorry, Joe. I think a 4.
Say it how it is, man. Say it how it is. Call it as it is, yeah? You won't give him a 4? Give him a 4. But
yeah, sorry, Joe. Just with being, just with coming off and stuff, I just think, and the amount of times he gave the ball away in particular, it was pretty frustrating. And for where Joe's ability can be, he just didn't kind of boss the midfield as he can. So it's a shame, but he'll have better games. He will. But just a bit off it. So 4.
100%. He's going to the wee Paraguayan. He looks very one-dimensional after the attacks, and I've noticed that from Miles yesterday. And he just lacks quality, and that is so frustrating. When he gets the ball, he doesn't know what to do with it as well. And love Fox in the bits, but at the end of the day, times we've got to be critical of this guy. And I'm sorry, I'll judge him on yesterday's game, not the whole of his career, but one dimension, and he lacked quality. And you know what? He needs to change up this game. If he doesn't change up this game, he's going to be found out. And what's your take on Miggy?
He's a player that I absolutely adore, but he boils my blood. He really does. Just, every attack was coming through Miggy. He was doing well with driving at that defence. At least he tried. But it's always that last little thing. He kind of goes inside and there was that one attack where he had quite a lot of pitch to attack, and he ran straight at Man City defender and ran into him, and it just kind of went nowhere. And then he doesn't, he gets into a decent position and doesn't give the ball quick enough at times. And it was a frustrating Miggy performance yesterday. He has the endeavour and he tries his best. no one can slag him off for effort because he does try his best, but he's so obvious with being right. He always tries to get onto right, and again, Pep's no idiot, and he would have said, like, if you try and keep Meggy on his left, he's going to struggle to get anything out of the game. And I think Meggy really did struggle. And I think on reflection, Eddie maybe could have taken him off a bit earlier because he wasn't making any impact in the game really. Again, sorry Meggy, but I think he's probably getting the worst rating out of everybody. Sorry, so I think it's maybe ultra harsh, but I'd say a 3. Sorry Meggy, it was not the best performance, chap.
Fair enough, fair comment. I mean, at the end of the day, sort of thing, like I said, you need to change it up as well. Obviously, the performance of last season, by the way, and so that's understandable. Let's go on to Alex Isak. I mean, for me, he got no service in midfield whatsoever. He should have dropped back a little bit, just to help out just a wee bit to get the ball. But he's been a quiet evening for the Swedish international, and I'm not going to criticise the guy. He had no service. What can you do?
It's a lonely job up there, and we've had strikers stuff with this in the past. Even if we didn't have great quality, I remember people getting on Hossley's case. And I'm not saying he was a good player for us back then, but if you don't give a striker service, I don't know what they're meant to do. And Isak was in that tough position where he didn't get much service at all. He had a few little glimpses where he tried to run at them, and sadly one of the times he had one of his little runs, he kind of ran the ball out because that's where the City players kind of showed him. It was a tough game for him, and I think he didn't again I don't remember getting a shot away or testing the goalkeeper. So again, hard to give him higher than a 4 because. Again, he didn't really do much in the game. More on probably more on the midfield, but you can't score much higher than. I think 5 would be too generous.
Fair enough. Let's go on to Anthony Gordon. I love his running. I love his heart rate. His work rate, etc. He was frustrated yesterday. He was very lucky to stay on that pitch. Or both counts. The first half on Diaz and the second on the same player. But I tell you what, had it been for Julian and didn't get booked, I'm sure Anthony would have been sent off. Right, but the chance he had, and just for half time, he should have taken it first time. He didn't, and that's why he got frustrated all day.
Yeah, I think Gordon's definitely come back from the tournament with a chip on his shoulder, which is great, and I love to see it. And and I love how much he's trying. He's fell in love with Newcastle quite quickly, which is great. And you can see that he wants to show how good he is. But with that comes the hot-headedness at times. He had this at Everton. This isn't new. He was a hothead at Everton, as we saw with the bust-up. And some of the tackles were kind of that first one in particular, absolutely pointless. He's lucky. I tell you what, he's lucky because last season, because they've been a little VAR's been a bit more, I say lenient. They're not, because Liverpool still got a bizarre penalty. But VAR are trying to be a bit more we'll let off certain tackles because we're being a bit too, a bit too much over the top. But other seasons, that's a straight red for that first one because he's nowhere near the ball and he's on his calf. Pointless. And then the second, the other pretty much yellow card challenge, again, it's a ball he's never going to win. And it's a silly, he leaves his foot in, and it's just kind of like we said, I think Joe kind of saw that and thought, right, take out this player and get a yellow. And I think the ref kind of, luckily the ref kind of put more thought into that. Eddie had Harvey Barnes in the shirt immediately after that challenge, it's got 20 seconds later when he's subbing him off. So he just needs to calm that down a bit. And I wonder whether, when it comes to Liverpool, I wonder whether Gordon might be dropped. Not because I'm not saying because of performance. I just wonder because of maybe just calming him down. But yeah, I think again it'd be hard to give Gordon more than again he could have been sent off. So I think a 4. is the fairest I can be on Gordon.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. We could have added to the subs as well. I mean, Harvey Barnes came on for Anthony Gordon. He touched on him. He had one shot on target. It was a good effort to keep us safe. He got booked as well. But you come up against the likes of Kyle Walker, it's always going to be a tough ask for this guy.
Yeah, again, didn't really he had a few drives at their defence a little bit, got a few crosses in here and there. Again, Edison could have had a deck chair for most of that second half. We were a tiny bit better, but he weren't trying to save the goal or anything like that. Barnes, that really frustrated me that he just got a yellow card straight away. That's a bit of naivety, a little bit there, like getting a yellow card immediately, because you're not able to push as much, you're not able to go in as much on tackles, and within 20 seconds of him being introduced, he's already on a yellow, which isn't great. So again, I feel like I'm being ultra harsh, but again, I think of what impact he had. How can you give more than a 4 out of 10 for him? I can't justify giving him anything more than that.
Fair enough. 4 out of 10 for Harvey. Let's go on to Callum Wilson. He should have done better when he broke through 2-1. And I tell you what, I'm obviously thinking of, I just do not know. He ran himself to trouble then as well. And for me, he should have played Isak and Wilson up top because he was chasing for a goal. And I think Eddie will come on to him in a bit. But for me, Callum Wilson should have done better with that.
Yeah, excuse me. The only thing I liked about Wilson when he came on is we looked a little bit as in an attacking sense, because he held the ball up more. Isak doesn't hold the ball up as well as Callum Wilson does, and I think that was really helping us a little bit to at least get the pitch a bit more, because Wilson does so well with holding the ball up, and it did get us out of just being in a defensive shape for times in the match. So I think Wilson kind of brought that to the game, and there was that one chance where a better ball. You just don't know. Maybe we walk away with a 1-1, because that was a very good, it was a good sort of, a good time to possibly get something when it was a 3-on-1. So Wilson did okay. I think, he's definitely got something to prove, because it's obvious that now Isak is obviously the first choice ready at this moment in time. But I thought Wilson did enough as a sub. So I think he did enough for a 5 out of 10 because, like I said, I was impressed with him holding the ball up, and he did nearly create the best chance we had in the whole entire game. So I think he did okay. I think he's unlucky not to start on Sunday.
Yeah, marks out of 10?
I'd say 5. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
Wilson, just because, like I said.
Fair enough. Let's wrap up these two. Sean Longstaff, he looked sluggish and he nearly got bored, in my opinion. And I'm not being funny, he looked way off the piss.
Yeah, he doesn't look, excuse me, doesn't look fit, does he? Really, yeah. Obviously, he said he just really come back from an injury. Again, sorry, chap. Probably as bad as Miggy, 3 out of 10.
Elliot Anderson, he looking to make things happen, creative for the openings, and it just goes to show you there's absolutely no one as well. And I tell you what now, if Jordan's not fit, chuck this guy in on Saturday. This guy will make a difference. Yes,
please. Again, shows no, he didn't care it was Man City. I love that attitude. He doesn't care. He just wants that ball. He wants the ball. He wants to make an impact. And he was the best of the subs for definite. So again, easy for the impact on the game and how much effort he put in. I'd say an easy 6 out of 10. So fair play to Anderson. Like you said, I agree with you, John, that if Jay's not up for it, if he can't quite make it, then I'd be more than happy with him starting.
Cool. Livramento, we're not going to mark him down because he didn't have much time on the pitch as well. But Eddie Howe, for me, I fear we were 1-0 down. He could have done a little bit different. He could have played 4-4-2 and kept Isak on with Wilson, went for it as well. And we could have got some out of that game. But at the end of the day, I love Eddie, right? Tactically, he just had to pick the best players on the pitch. I think he got that one right. But bring on Sean Longstaff, for me, when he's well off the pace, I just didn't think he needs to do that at all whatsoever. But Lewis Miley, I would have had him, give him a go as well. I know it would have been too big a game for him. But personally, I would have took off Miggy and played Livramento in the second half as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Pep, Pep does his homework, and he again shows at the end how much he wanted to win that game. You know, and it was just kind of yeah, the subs weren't the best. I don't think I saw quite a lot of that on social media, that the subs weren't, you know, the best ever. You know, Eddie tried, you know, he tried to impact the game as best he could. But yeah, I just think it was just kind of an off day tactically, and that's no shame because you're up against Pep Guardiola, who's just come off winning a treble and the Super Cup on the Wednesday. So he's not up against some mug who doesn't know what they're doing. You know, he's up against Pep Guardiola, who's a very, very good manager. So I think if we're giving Eddie a score out of 10, I think 5 out of 10. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Right, so that's concludes our player ratings as well. Let us know what your player ratings marks out of 10. If you leave it in the comment section down below, do believe with Paul's player ratings. Like I said, just drop the comments in there, give your player ratings as well. And if you like, did you like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe. And